I just want to have a little heart-to-heart conversation with you today about what you were so afraid of if you just let go. Whether it's a relationship, whether it's a job, whether it's old habits and patterns, or whether it's just a version of yourself. Like, what are you really freaking afraid of? I think for so many of us, we can so clearly see this like next level, next version of ourselves that we so desperately want to be. And every single night we go to sleep feeling disappointed because we know that we didn't live up to that version of ourselves that we know that we can be. And most of us, we honestly spend our entire lives just going through this cycle of constant disappointment, this constant lack of confidence, this constant just not feeling good about ourselves because we're just never living up to the version of ourselves that we know we can live up to. And I know that's you. You're here on this channel watching this video because I know that's you. And one of the things that's really holding you back from being able to step into this version of yourself that you want to be, of the life that you want to live, that you know will bring you that peace, that calmness, that success that you desperately and deeply within desire, is because you are so freaking afraid to let go of the stuff that is no longer serving you. And again, it's not even just the physical, material things in life, it's also the emotional things. It's also parts of ourselves. You know, a good example I can think of is trauma, for example. And I'm not undermining anybody who has, like, disclaimer here before I get someone hating me. I'm not undermining someone who's been through trauma. I'm not undermining someone who's been through anything hard. Of course, those are things that shape you, they can break you. It's stuff that you want to work through. But what sometimes happens to some of us is that these horrific things that we go through become a label mentally. And once you decide to label yourself with something, a horrific experience you went through, a trauma, a really tough situation, once that becomes your label, that becomes a part of your identity and who you are. And then you will constantly find yourself pulling yourself back to that identity, back to that trauma over and over and over again. And do you want to do that? Do you want to keep pulling yourself back over and over and over again to horrific things that have happened to you? Do you want your identity to be tied to your past, to your experiences? Because then you never give yourself the freedom to grow, to do something different in your life, to be something different in your life. Because if you constantly keep tying yourself to your trauma and the past things that you have been through, then you relive that experience, you relive that version of you over and over and over again, and that is what becomes your entire life. And I want you to ask yourself right now, what are the experiences, what are the things that you have tied your identity to, the version of who you are now to, that's just no longer serving you? You need to really get clear on that, because you can't build a different life if you're not willing to be a different person. Like, just let that sink in right now. You can't build a different life if you're not willing to be a different person. And that's scary for a lot of people. Being a different person means that you're going to have to get out of your comfort zone. You're gonna have to step outside your comfort zone. And for a lot of people, that makes them go like, I don't want to do it. I'm not gonna lie, for me too, for a very long time, I would hate getting out of my comfort zone. And for a long time in my life, when, you know, I openly on this channel talk about my journey with depression, when I was bullied in middle school, that was the catalyst to start my depression. And I just never talked to anybody about it. I didn't get the help that I really needed at that time. And when I went through that experience, that became my label and my identity. Like being bullied literally became my identity and who I was. And I just felt so much pain and turmoil from that. And because that became a part of my identity and who I was, and that led me into feeling like I wasn't good enough, that I had extremely low self-worth. And that just pulled me deeper into the depths of depression. And depression just like clawed onto me because I chose to make this experience become a part of my identity. And that was a story about myself that I had to let go of. This story that I was the victim, the story that I was bullied, the story that I wasn't enough, the story that no one liked me. Because that story, you know what it did? It got me to like deeper and deeper into depression. That's what that story did. It pulled me deeper and deeper into depression. And if I hadn't worked to let go of that story about myself that I thought I was, I would never be in this place right now where I'm running two successful businesses, where, I'm making a massive impact in the world by showing up online. Because if I believed all those things about myself, and if that was the story that I let myself believe about who I was, I would have stayed in that spot. I ended up in the hospital when I was in my second year of university, and honestly, I probably would have ended up in the hospital again, and this time I wouldn't have left if I didn't show up and decide just one day that this is no longer my story. I need to let go of this story. And here's the thing, if you are finding it really difficult to let go of something, you need to ask yourself, how are you benefiting from it? Because you are benefiting from it in some sort of way. So if you're stuck in a toxic relationship and you're not able to leave or get out, how are you benefiting from it, right? Are you getting financial benefit? Are you getting, the benefit of the story about yourself that you're not worthy, that you're not good enough, that you're not a failure, and this relationship is serving that story about yourself? And that's why, how you're benefiting subconsciously from this relationship, because this relationship is matching what you believe about yourself. And that's why letting go is so important. Because if you want to believe something new about yourself, if you want to step into that next level of success, which honestly you will have to believe something new about yourself, then you will ultimately have to let go of things that are serving the old story. You will have to let go of relationships, whether it's significant others or friendships. And over the past year, I have lost so many friends, and it's been probably one of the hardest things that I've had to let go of. And nothing against anybody else, but again, I found that some of those friends just fit that old story about myself, and it just wasn't a story I wanted to believe about myself anymore. And I wanted to believe a new story about myself. But if you're constantly around people that remind you of that old story about yourself, good luck trying to elevate yourself and get to that next level and place that you truly want to be at. So, oh, well, there goes my earring. Well, let me just take these bad boys off. So you really have to, think about what are the things that are keeping you stuck in your old stories. Another example would be like your workplace. I'm not saying like go quit your job, but think about, from what place did you find this job from? And does it align with that version of you that you want to be in your life? And if it doesn't, then in order to elevate yourself, you have to let go. Again, doesn't mean you quit a job, don't do it irresponsibly, right? Have another job lined up, have a game plan, whatever it is, but it's about facing the truth and the honesty of what no longer aligns with you in your life. Whenever I want to up level myself, I always declutter. Decluttering is the number one thing that I always do. I recently have been wanting to upgrade my wardrobe, so I went through and I just took out everything that just didn't align with this new wardrobe that I want to have, because in order to make space for the new, in order for me to make space for my new wardrobe, I need to let go of the wardrobe that just is no longer serving me. So that goes with everything else in your life. Think about what are your dominant emotional states during the day? And are these the dominant emotional states of that highest version of you, of that next level version of you? Or are these the dominant emotional states of the old stories, of the old you that you no longer desire to be? That's how you need to start thinking about these things. You literally, I would encourage you, do an entire audit of your life, from relationships to finances. What about finances? What are you spending your money on? Are you spending your money on things that align with that next level version of you? Or are you spending money on things that align with the old stories? I can give you my example here. I used to spend all my money on makeup, clothes, and jewelry. I wish I could go back and literally just hit myself in the face and be like, Bisleen, what the F are you doing? Can you save $100? Because if you put those $100 every single month into an index fund, you will have hundreds of thousands of dollars by the time you're even just 25. I did the math with my little cousin a couple of weeks back, and I was like, I wish you didn't do the math, because those numbers were like, oh, astounding. So thinking about that, right? And now I'm at this place where my relationship with money is so different. Doesn't mean I don't ever go out and, go shopping, but I do it way less frequently. I think the last time I actually bought clothes was before my India trip. That was last November. And before I used to go all the time, and even my makeup, it's so simple now. My skincare is so simple now. Jewelry is so simple now. And that's just not the highest version of me would essentially be spending money on. So I've just stopped spending money on that stuff. And that's allowed me to up-level my money mindset, my relationship with money, and I'm so freaking proud of that. So you can literally do this in all areas of your life. Recently, I did a whole shift in my health and looking at, okay, how would the highest version of me eat, and how would they portion their foods and things like that. And I was like, okay, what do I need to let go of in order to step into this level and in order to step into this place? So you can do this in all areas, and it's going to be terrifying. Let me tell you this. Letting go is going to be terrifying. So there's one act of just facing what you need to let go of and being honest with yourself. So do this audit of your life, right? So go through relationships, go through your emotions, go through your thought patterns, go through your behaviors, go through your finances, go through your health, go through your spirituality, go through go through your career, right? Go through all these different areas of your life and think about what do you need to let go of in order to step into that next level of success. And then I want to emphasize that it's going to be very scary. So you want to start off small, right? Maybe you start off with a decluttering of your closet, and then you move on to your health and your emotional states and things like that. And then you work your way up to bigger things. Honestly, the big things are relationships. That's a huge one for a lot of people, where they feel a lot of discomfort when it comes to letting go, because your identity can be totally and completely tied to someone else, even though they're completely dragging you and pulling you down. And it's terrifying, because when you let go, you're stepping into uncertainty. You're completely stepping into uncertainty. And this is where having faith is so important. Trusting in something is so important. And truly one of the most revolutionary shifts that I made in my life is really developing my relationship with God. I know we don't talk about God as much on this channel and whatnot, and I know that everybody has different beliefs and faiths, but truly developing my relationship with God and having faith and trust in something higher and bigger than me is what has allowed me to, I feel like I'm really gonna get emotional. Wow, I didn't think I was gonna get emotional saying this stuff, but if you have not worked on your relationship with God and spirituality and something higher and bigger than you, please do it. It's truly one of the most beautiful relationships you're gonna work on. And as I was saying this, it's just been one of the most transformational relationships I've worked on, because when you truly trust in something higher, in something bigger, in something greater, you're able to just make those really, really difficult decisions that you need to in the moment. And letting go is one of those really, really hard decisions that you have to make, but when you can trust in faith, trust in a higher power, trust in a God, you know that it's gonna be okay, that you'll be okay. And I know this one really powerful sentence from Neville Goddard's book. If you don't know Neville Goddard, he's the father of manifestation, and he actually takes teachings from the Bible to show that manifestation is a part of the Bible, and it's it's supported by God basically, which is really powerful. And in his book, there's just one sentence that always sticks out to me, and it is, faith doesn't doubt, faith knows. And when you trust in that higher power, you just have this faith that you know everything is going to be okay. You know it's going to be okay. And it doesn't take away the fear from it, of course. It still is terrifying, but it's having that faith that this is good for everybody. It's in the goodness of everybody, and really, really just trusting that and taking that leap of faith. And the other thing that also helps too when it comes to this letting go and having faith piece of things is developing really good self-trust. And I'm gonna be honest here, I have worked years and years on my self-trust. I've been very on top of my integrity. So I wake up on the time I'm supposed to. I work out when I tell myself I'm supposed to. And I'm not always perfect, not always perfect, but I would say 80 to 90% of the time, my integrity is on point. So this means that when it comes to letting go, when it comes to having faith, when it comes to self-trust, I trust myself. I trust myself so, so deeply because I know that I ultimately got myself, and that no matter what happens, I can get myself through any hardship that life may bring. And it's really a powerful trust that I've spent years and years cultivating. So these components and elements of having that faith and belief in something bigger, having that self-trust really, really help with this. And so what I'm really just trying to get at here is that it's March, end of March, right? The first, like the 25% of this year, it's done. And by this point, people have lost their goals. And every quarter can literally be a new beginning. And if you're watching this video, I want this to be your new beginning. And I know it's so scary, but I have a feeling that with all the things I was bringing up in today's video, you are already starting to think about the things that you do need to let go of in your life, and some ideas came into your mind, and the thought of letting go of these things may make you want to vomit. They may make you feel nauseated, and that's okay. But I think it's time for you to face the truth and face those facts and look at what are you going to do differently in your life now, and how are you going to show up differently, because I would rather take the uncomfortableness of letting go than to be on my deathbed one day and look back on my life and be so disappointed in myself because I didn't make the right decisions for myself earlier on. And I chose to live a life where I constantly felt not good enough, where I constantly felt unloved, uncared for. And I'd rather go through the excruciating pain of loss than to feel the excruciating pain of disappointment on my deathbed. And that's how importantly I want you to start seeing this stuff. The pain of loss is great in the moment, but what comes after that, it's always better. As long as you are willing to get better, what comes after that will always be better. And that's something too that always gets me through the hard times, is that everything you consider, you want to think of everything as a manifestation of your desire, right? Because when you think about it, the hard things that you've been through in the past before, you can look back and be like, yeah, I can see why I needed to go through that. And it eventually made you a better person. And so when you start to see these things as letting go, as things that are just making you stronger and a better version of you, it becomes so much easier to get through because you know that what's waiting on the other side is even better than you could have ever imagined. So take this message. I want you to take it deeply and seriously because I want the best for you. I want you to unlock your greatest potential. I want you to achieve your dreams. But if you don't let go of what's no longer serving you, you'll forever stay stuck in the life that you have right now.